Now, we're going to go with the same strategy for the most part, but we're going to add a bit more information to pass on to the web browser. So I'm going to comment out the strategy of using image, source, and source set with a small list. Now, I should point out this strategy, or both of these strategies we're looking at, are about performance, but they are really meant to use the same image at different sizes. I have read that if you try to use different images, completely different images, using this approach, then the results you get may not be what you expect, meaning weird things could possibly happen. I haven't done it. I haven't been curious enough to see what would happen, so maybe you will. Now, let's get back. I'm going to comment out the strategy for source and source set, and I will uncomment the strategy for just source set. Now, what's happening here is instead of loading an initial source and then the source set and testing for a density, we're going to use source set and a list of 3 images in our source set. And they are all going to be the same image, just at different pixel densities. And in this case, the pixel density really equates to the width and the height ratio that is going to be displayed in a 480 pixel wide device or aspect ratio device. And again, just keep in mind that 480 pixel aspect ratio device can have a different size pixel. There can be more pixels than 480. Okay, it's just the screen is 480 on the device. Okay, that physical screen. Now, this approach, you'll notice I'm still loading 1x, 2x, 3x, but instead of saying the name of the image and then 2x, or the name of the image and 3x, what's happening is we are calling out, or we are adding the width of the image, the actual pixels. So this image is 480. This image, the first one, that 1x, is 480. And the next image, the second image, that is at 2x, is twice the 480, 960. And then we have the third, and this one is 1440 pixels wide. So what's happening here is we are calling out the physical width, and adding this additional information will allow the browser to understand how the browser needs to reserve space for the image when the render engine is parsing the render engine. The browser render engine is parsing the HTML code and CSS code which is coming at it. Okay, so we're providing that extra level of information so we can provide it to the web browser, and the web browser can better function, if you will. And then it's a good idea to include the sizes attribute, and then I'm going to include the actual sizes which are being called out next to the image list. Okay, all right, let's go ahead, and in this case, because there is no image source, that's why you'll see this broken image in our preview here in Dreamweaver. But let's now go back, and we will refresh our page. We will switch back, and when I say our page, we're back in our web browser, and we have our inspect tool and waterfall showing. So let's go 480 one time and reload the page. And here is our image at 480 by 800, and you can see in our waterfall when we're targeting image specifically, that just this image is loading. So we will go to 482x and refresh our page, and there in fact is our image for that particular width and height. So we're loading the image based on the width and height of the image and not necessarily the pixel density of the screen. So it's similar, but it's a different approach. So let's go ahead and try 483x, and we will refresh. And there is our image that is 1440 on its width. Okay, so similar in using the image tag. Similar, obviously, in using the alt attribute. We're leaving out the source attribute and focusing on the source set. Instead of looking for the pixel density of the screen, we are stating the width of the image we want to request and have on the screen. We are calling out the sizes attribute so the browser understands that it needs to reserve X amount of space in the layout while the page goes back to the server to make requests for other content, other data that could potentially populate the page. So now the browser knows to reserve X amount of space, which should speed up the parse and draw process.